Hi, my name's Howard, and the camera I've selected today is the Agfa Super Solinette. It's a folding camera built between 1953 and 1958. It was Agfa's top-of-the-range 35mm camera at that time, and they spared no expense in building it. It's a beautifully put-together camera, a real quality feel to it. It's an all-metal, fully mechanical camera, no batteries required, and it's definitely one for the purist. The lens, now it's a lovely little lens. It's the top of the range at the time, Agfa Solinette f3.5 50mm. It appears to be multi-coated in blue and amber, and it's my belief is that it's a Tessar design, so it's 4 elements. The shutter is the famous Synchro Compeur shutter. This one takes the times from B and 1 second through to a 500th of a second. It's also synced for flash. So this little green tab here, if you're using old flash bulbs, you put onto M. If you're using an electronic flash, it goes onto X. V is a self-timer, but I choose not to use those because they can be a bit iffy and lock the whole thing up, so I leave that alone. The dot to set the speeds on there's a little dot just above the R of Super, and that's where you select your shutter speeds. Now you'll notice the aperture here is moving with the shutter speed, and that's because they're linked. This camera must have been in the very early days of exposure values, which were very popular at the time, and you'll see around the bottom of the scale here there's numbers through to 18, and it's set on 15 at the moment. So the trick is to set the speed you want first. So what have we got there? We got a 250th, and then once you've set the speed, you can set the aperture and the speed won't move. But if you move the speed ring, then the aperture moves with it. So to set the aperture, there's a little raised section on this tab, and you can grab it with your fingernails and pull it around and push it, and you line the dot up with the f-stop, not the raised section. So that's on F8 now. This is a focusing ring. It's pretty tight, but it still works, thankfully. Agfa's grease that they lubricated with them is hardened up over the years, so that's the story on that. But it's still usable, and you're not flashing around in focus a lot of the time. And behind that there's the depth of field scale, which is so. As you can see, it's a nicely set up little camera. You've got the depth of field, focusing ring, apertures, and speed. Okay, there's nothing at all on the bottom. On the top we've got the rewind ring, and we've got the film advance. Now to take a shot, these are all have to be manually cocked, these cameras. So this is a little cocking tab just here. You pull it down. It's actually cocked, it is down. So I'll make it think it's got film in it, and I'll wind that around. Okay, so I should be able to, there, I can take the shot. Now, people who found these at camera fairs and that quite often thought they were broken, because if they cocked the shutter they couldn't press the button. But these cameras require a film in them to work, because the film, winding the film across, activates the little drive unit here. So if you take that through till it stops rotating as if there was a film in there, cock the shutter. I'll let you hear how quiet it is. Okay, a couple of quirks. In this rewind knob you'll see a little window. If you pull that up, underneath here there's a little serrated ring, and you can move that around to show the ASA speed in the window. Now it's purely a reminder, it has no effect on the operation of the camera. On mine they're very faint, and they only go up to 160 ASA, which was probably pretty quick back in 1955. To rewind the film, you have to pull this, you see there's a little arrow on the tab, you pull the tab across, which opens a little gate back here, lets you push that in. Now to rewind the film, you've got to hold that in as you rewind it. But it's got a dual purpose. If you look at the, in here we've got the number of shots taken. The only way you can move that, because there's no other external way of getting to it, once again you pull the tab across and you can click it around till you get the starting point of the film. Bit odd, but it works. Loading the film, now I won't insult your intelligence, I'm sure you know how to load a film, but here there's another little quirk. Drop the cassette in, bring the film across. Now in the slot, here at the bottom of the slot, there's a little tooth. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is there, and it's, so the trick is to push the film into the slot and locate one of the sprocket holes on the little tooth. Lay it across the cogs, shut up, push down, locate that, take up the slack, and then wind this across, and this should turn with it, and that'll tell you the film's going across properly. Anything I've missed? Obviously it's got a cold shoe for a flash, a little socket for the flash to plug into, whether electronic or bulb. Once you've got the speed and aperture set, you can move the little EV thing to keep on the same, to change the exposures. So it's got the lot. To open the camera, I'll just shut it and I'll show you that. To open the camera, there's this little button at the side. Just press it, pull it down, it locks. To shut it, you've got the two tabs here. Along the top of those two. Make sure it's set on infinity, which it is. Pull these down, bring your thumbs up, just click it shut. Now it's quite a small camera and it's quite portable. It'll happily fit in a coat pocket or something. It weighs about 550 grams. So it's beautifully built, but it's not heavy. It's capable of absolutely superb photos, sharp and colourful. I've taken some great photos with this little camera and I really love it. And you know, there's something about the German cameras. I mean, I've got a lot of Japanese cameras too, and they're great, but there's something about the German cameras is really something. If you can get hold of a good one of these, they're a superb little camera. They've got leather bellows. Just check, if you're looking at one, the corners aren't frayed. Leather on mine is perfect despite its age, but obviously if it was knocked around the bellows, it could create light leaks. Anyhow, well, that's about it for the Agfa Super Solinette, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it and got some information from it, I'd really like you to sort of like the video, subscribe, and press the little bell icon to get further videos. This is the first one I've done. As you can probably tell, I'm a bit nervous. I was born in 1942 and I grew up with these cameras, and anyhow, if you could like it and subscribe, I'd be wrapped. So thanks very much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.